how can we build regenerative communities? The need to build regenerative cultures, really, we have to ask ourselves first, what are we trying to sustain? Now, the answer to this is we are trying to sustain a pattern of health, resilience, and adaptability that maintain this planet in a condition where life as a whole can flourish. When we design for sustainability, ultimately we are designing for human and planetary health. So what is a regenerative human culture? It's one that is healthy, resilient, and adaptable, and cares for the planet and cares for life in the awareness that this is the most effective way to create a thriving future for all humanity. The concept of resilience is closely related to health, as it describes the ability to recover basic vital functions and bounce back from any kind of temporary breakdown or crisis. So that's the point. You know, you don't want to, you will have your ups and downs, but how do you come back? And you come back stronger. When we aim for sustainability from a systematic perspective, we are trying to sustain the pattern that connects and strengthens the whole system. Sustainability is first and foremost about systematic health and resilience at different scales, from local to regional to global. So yeah, I need my country to be, my neighborhood to be, my neighborhood community to be healthy. And I also need the city to be healthy. And I need the whole country to be healthy. And I need other countries to be healthy, so that we all have this common understanding. And that's why the UN has made all of these sustainability development goals, so that we all speak one language, because one change in one area impacts the other. Now, looking at this chart over here, or this graph, basically, to get to a regenerative system, it means that there's going to be appropriate participation and design as nature. Now, this means it's called biomimicry, and I will talk about that in a minute. And this also means that there's a regenerative approach to decreasing energy use. And if it's something, reconciliatory is something that means that we are integrating humans as part of nature. Restorative is humans doing things to help nature. Sustainable is a neutral point of not doing any more damage. Green means a relative improvements. Conventional practice, compliance to avoid legal action. So basically over here, there's an exploitative approach that increases energy use, and we don't want that. There's a degenerative system that looks at creating degenerative conditions, competition to increase scarcity, fragmented approach to design and innovation, meaning there's no, like, you're not looking at things from a whole, like, you're not connecting ecology, economy, and people. You're looking at only the problem from one. You're trying to solve only one problem, which means that this is going to lead to fragmentation in your design. So, and basically, we need collaboration to generate abundance. We need to create conditions conducive to life. This means that we need to create better environments, and through urban planning, we design better environments. Now, the concept of biomimicry, which is basically over here, we're at the top of the line over here to get to a regenerative state. Now, regenerative design of all social institutions means that by 2050, everything needs to be biomimicry based. And you are going to graduate from university at this, 2030, let's say, and everything is going to be biomimicry based. And that's why I like to include biomimicry for you in everything that we try to design, because you have to get used to the concept of biomimicry. We will get to that at the end of this video, but I will just briefly talk about the big ideas in biomimicry. So biomimicry answers the following questions. How will we feed ourselves? How will we harness energy? How will we make things? How will we heal ourselves? How will we store what we learn, as in computational? How will we conduct businesses? Where are we going to go from there, inventing and affecting the future? Now, because we have these problems, these wicked problems that you have identified before, and we need these resilient, responsive, regenerative economies and environments and technologies and cultures, we are trying to shift to ethical design. We shift for a regenerative future with resilient cultures. We need to challenge now designers and technologists and policymakers and planning professionals to evaluate their proposed actions on their positive, life-sustaining, restorative, and regenerative potential. Aiming to design for systematic health may not save us from unexpected side effects and uncertainty, but it offers a trial and error path towards a regenerative culture. That means always that has the idea of do no harm. Do no harm to the people, do no harm to the ecology, do no harm to the economy. If one of them is harmed, then the whole system is ineffective. Now, to make this ethical imperative optional, we need to design for human ecosystems and the planetary health all together. Now, to innovate and create and drive this creativity and inspire and motivate the people and create this idea of the criteria to have the people design, to take part of designing for themselves, for the ecology and the economy. We want the people to participate in this, and we want the people to understand the impact of poor design on their lives. So we need to educate the people about these areas. We need to figure out what are these wicked problems and that they are facing. And so in your participatory design, as you get to that point, you're going to put all of these wicked problems and you're going to listen to the people and you're going to design solutions that, you know, look at all of these from all different lenses that they're trying to tell you. So there's something we call transition design, which is moving the people from one state to another by also looking at what was happening in the past. What was the situation a few years ago, or even 30 years ago, or what is it now doing? So you look at a trend over here and then you move them forward by looking at wicked problems, by setting goals, by looking at opportunities. And we're going to see now how we're going to do that next. Biomimetic design, that's something that we will be looking at. Also at the end of this video, and also being careful of the material that we're using and to maintain also sustainable economics. In that way, you design ethical futures. Now, how do we participate? The best way to learn how to participate appropriately is to pay more attention to systematic relationships and interactions, to aim to support the resilience and health of the whole system, to foster diversity and redundancies at multiple scales, and to facilitate positive emergence through paying attention to the quality of connections and information that flows into the system. So knowing that one change in one area is going to impact the change in another area, and I mean economic, society, health, anything that you can connect together. And when you do your wicked problems, you would actually know what this means. Now, this means you also have to get educated about all areas to form better connections. We become resourceful in ecology, we become resourceful in biology, we become resourceful in science, we become resourceful in economy, health, and how to generate wealth in ethical ways, ethics, society studies, and cultural norms, and understanding and supporting diversity, where everyone needs to know everything and everyone needs to do everything. Responsive cultures. How do we create, design, technology, and planning and policy decisions so that they positively support human, community, and environmental health? We need to respond to the fact that human activity over the last centuries and millennia has done damage to healthy ecosystems functioning. Resource availability is declining globally, while the demand is rising as the human population constitutes to expand, and we continue to erode ecosystems functions through irresponsible design and lifestyles of unbridled consumption. If we meet the challenge of decreasing demand and consumption globally while replenishing resources through regenerative design and technology, we have a chance of making it through the eye of the needle and creating a regenerative human civilization. This shift will entail a transformation of the material resource bases of our civilization, meaning this is green chemistry. This is literally green chemistry, away from fossil fuels resources towards renewable regenerated biological resources, along with the radical increase in resource productivity and recycling. Now, even the materials, the global extraction of material has tripled since 1970s. And this will lead to a destruction of everything that we own. And even in this eco-critical art piece, They talk about the discovery of oil and how it shaped the socioeconomic status of the Middle East and climate just because of the oil discovery. The problem is everything that we consume is based on petrochemicals and plastics, resins, fibers, textiles, elastomers, rubbers, and solvents that are a major pollutant. Coatings, dyes, pigments, adhesives, chemicals, and other consumer products are all petrochemicals based. So we have to shift the way we design our materials and make our materials and resources in biological ways, so that we have to stop our dependency on these materials. And also we have to think about how packaging increases sales and increases waste, but we throw things away and we think it's not a problem when we throw things away after they've been extracted and they've done all of this harm to the environment. But then we add more harm by increasing more waste, and we say, okay, out of sight, out of mind. I don't have to think about that anymore. Now, when we throw things away, where is a way? A way is actually going to hunt us very soon in our daily lives, and it is actually hunting us in our quality life. And some cultures and some societies, they suffer because they're under provided for, and this is really how their lives get impacted. Then our climate gets impacted, and then we have more melting of glacial caps, and some animals are now becoming extinct, and we're going to suffer more flooding and high elevated temperatures, and the air AC is not going to solve this problem for us. And then we feel, and then we don't know what's the cause when we are constantly, taking away the nature from our environment, and then we're wondering what's going on. The thing is, we have to also embrace uncertainty and ambiguity that gives us multiple perspectives on our appropriate participation in complexity. These perspectives that give us value and validity not only to the old story of separation, but also to the ancient story of unity with Earth and the cosmos. So this is Earth, okay? Let's understand what this means. And this is the solar system now. And Earth is part of the solar system. Do you see these connections, these orbits? Then we also see how the solar system is part of an interstellar system, where all of them are connected together, where one change in one area is going to impact the rest. And then we have our Milky Way galaxy. These perspectives may help us find a regenerative way of being human in deep intimacy and be able to communicate with life, becoming conscious of co-creators of humanity, of a new story that we're trying to create over here, and understanding that everything around us is connected the same way the planets and the stellar system is connected. We are, and our lives are connected to everything together. So it's up to us how we want to design. If we design for connection, then we are going to get a design that's always been regenerative. And it's regenerative if we're connecting with the natural world around us. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be a win-win situation. A win-win situation that is going to drive our creativity, that's going to make us happy and healthy, and just going to open a new door to science. And biomimicry is a new science, and really exciting science. Like you won't really find a lot of information online, but there's been a lot of work now in the past 2 years, because the more you try, the more you take a risk. I like biomimicry because you don't have to go and study from a book. You have to just get information and inspiration from the natural world and learn more about these organisms, and then you can implement something in your design area. Now, what we need is, instead of doing less damage to the environment, it is necessary to learn how we can participate with the environment, using health of ecological systems as a basis for design. The shift from a fragmented worldview to a whole systems mental model is a significant leap our culture must make. Framing and understanding living systems interrelations in an integrated way. A place-based approach is one way to achieve this understanding. Our role as designers and stakeholders is to shift our relationships to one that creates a whole system of mutually beneficial relationships. Creating regenerative systems is not simply a technical, economic, or ecological or social shift. It has to go hand in hand with an underlying shift in the way we think about ourselves, our relationships with one another, and with life as a whole. And so we think here as of ourselves as, are we actually tackling the symptoms or are we solving the problem? We have to think about ourselves as always wanting to change, to improve. And we cannot build a better world without improving ourselves constantly. There's always room for improvement. Now, the other part is not being fearful, because to understand means that you are not going to fear. So nothing in this life is to be feared, it's only to be understood. Now is the time that we understand more, so we may fear less. And it's going to empower us so much. The art of transformative cultural innovation will give us the fact that we are making peace with not knowing and living into questions more deeply, taking risks and making sure that we are also asking the right questions and paying attention to our relationships and how we bring a world that just not through what we are doing, but also through the quality of our being. A regenerative culture will emerge out of finding and living new ways of relating to life and relating to self, community as a whole. At the core of creating regenerative cultures is an invitation to live the questions.
So life happens, and here we are. And we are, for whatever reason, incarnate at one of the most radical times in human history. The most radical bit has yet to come. I think we're walking straight into absolute chaos. And I think we've incarnated because we want to be here. I just don't really believe in coincidence. I think there is an immense intelligence that's running the show. And we're all facets of that intelligence. And we're here to remember who and what we are and why we are, and it's not what we've been taught and it's not what we've been conditioned with. This is not what humanity is supposed to be. It's just not. We are made of this planet. She is in us. We are her. We're breathing her. She's breathing us. We've got oceans and rivers and rain in our blood. We're made of the rocks and the fire, and we act as if somehow we're superior. It's so upside down as to be astonishing. But the amazing thing about being lost is being found. So we're the ones who are standing at that point of greatest lostness where untruth is like prevailing, which means the flip from radical bullshit to radical truth is sitting in our hands. And the thing is, we're encoded with it. Because we're not bullshit. And we're not designed for lies, we're designed to ring with truth. We're designed with the truth because we are the truth, because we are nature. We've just got to deal with this weird ego crap that is so well indoctrinated. And then the conditioned traumas that we've got bedded down like sedimentary rock in our systems that feel so pervasive and that contort us and contract us into what we're not. Collective consciousness is rooted in consumption. We're called consumers. We're not called restorers. Not even called citizens anymore. We're labeled by the act of taking, which is remarkably disrespectful to the brilliance and the love and the capacity for care. I do not believe the world is thriving in the guise of the world consumer. I do not believe that how we are existing as human beings is creating happiness. It's relationship that is missing. It's the heart that is missing. We've turned our relationship with this planet into something of a commodity, as if somehow if we trash the whole thing just to make money, we're going to survive, and we're not. The reality is that inside each of us is a different truth that is accessible. You just got to figure out how to hit it. It's like being a tuning fork, tuning to the integrity of, or the authenticity of a human being, you know, being that thing, creating a frequency that holds such a level of truth that is permission to come home to yourself. And then as soon as you've made that shift and there's an opening, there's a curiosity, what is unlived in each of us? There's no excuse anymore to sit on our gifts or our generosity or our brilliance or our radical behaviors. Time for radical. Our collective brilliance has to be the thing that brings us through. And if you have an idea, it's time for it. And if you haven't got the guts to do it, find somebody who'll hold your hand because they'll believe in you. And that has to be the way forward.